Welcome to Alex and Annie, the real women of vacation rentals. I'm Alex,
And I'm Annie.
and we are joined today with Kristin Brown, who is the founder of Concishare. Kristin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. I'm so excited
Super.
to see everything that you ladies are doing in the vacation rental space.
Well,
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you.
We're excited to learn more about what you're bringing into the space too. And I know you've got quite a bit of history and experience within tourism and hospitality and now vacation rentals. But can you give our audience a little bit of your background and a little bit of who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually grew up in luxury hotels. My last property was with the Fairmont Scottsdale Princess in Scottsdale. Basically, my first job in the industry was a concierge. Fell completely in love with the role. Decided about 10 years later to take a huge leap of faith and actually start my own company. At the time, realized that there was a niche in the vacation rental market where people were really adjusting to a home type of stay and wanting the comfort and leisure of a home and obviously being all together and everything like that. And instead of divided into different hotel rooms and whatnot, but really needing and lacking the service. And so about 5 years ago, just started to start Concishare and really launch this high-end concierge service for guests that are staying in vacation rentals.
It's really, really neat. And I think that one of the things that Alex and I have talked about is that there's a lot of crossover between hotels and vacation rentals and things that we can learn from each other. And I think the one thing that the vacation rentals have struggled with is exactly what the service you're providing is being able to provide that customized level of service. I know we've talked to Julie Bird with Cabo Villas down in Cabo, Mexico, and her team does an incredible job. But again, it's a very localized thing. And what you're doing is not just in one area. You're trying to offer this in multiple markets. So I'd really love to hear how did you think that you could be able to take again what you had been doing at the hotel level for concierge for a hotel guest, where you had the connections right there. You had your Rolodex of people that you could call for restaurants and tickets and those type of things. How did you think you could replicate that and do that in multiple destinations?
Yeah, absolutely. So during my tenure with Fairmont, by the time my team and I finished, we were actually number one in the world. So we were trailblazing, as you could say it, within Fairmont Resorts, and running the most high-end part within the hotel. And so really for me with that, and then also I used to be the vice president of one of the largest national concierge associations in the country. It really kind of allows you to spread your wings, not only from a networking standpoint, but being able to have arms in multiple markets, right? And even with within hospitality, most people to grow within a hotel segment, they actually have to move around quite a bit. And that means different destinations. And that really has allowed us, one, between myself and my team and having over 200 years of hospitality experience together, to really be able to branch out and have these relationships in all these different markets. And actually, through COVID, we launched about 7 cities, which was massive for us and really being able to become a national brand, basically operating in any and every market within the US. If it's a place that we have not officially launched per se yet, we can normally do it within 30 days. So, anything is possible in our mind. And we're really here just to serve and bring that level of excellence into the guest experience, but most importantly, to give them back their time. Because I feel like we live in a place and time within the world that's the most precious commodity that they can have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you do a lot with big groups, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, we like to say we do a full spectrum of service. So, in home services from arranging like private chefs to masseuses, yoga. I mean, as far as group business, we've built an entire offsite meeting space for clients in vacation rental
Oh,
settings,
wow.
which has been a massive driver for our partners where,
Yeah.
they can have this like intimate setting from a group, right, standpoint, but at the same time still have the level of execution that they would expect in a hotel.
Mhm.
That's really where, we've not only been able to bring this service to the guests, but also make this a true win for our partners as well.
So one thing that we talk about within vacation rentals, and it was interesting, Alex alluded to before we started recording. We talked to the CEO of Casago, Steve Schwab, and he's there in your market, and we talked about the vacation rental industry being a feeling and being something that is very personal. And there's a lot of personal touch and a lot of emotion that goes into it. And one of the things about concierging, if that's even a word, is that you're evoking a feeling and an emotion with all of the services that you're providing for these people as an experience. And it in all that, it builds up a trust factor. And so clearly you had a lot of trust and a lot of capital built up in that area that you had from the hotel standpoint. And so that really, to me, translates very well into vacation rentals. Have you seen it easier to get into, like, maybe than you had thought with vacation rentals, or has it been pretty seamless coming over from the hotel side?
To be honest, it's been pretty seamless from the execution of the experiences. I would say it's more so it's a surprise for the guests that are staying at the home and realizing that they have this service, where, normally most vacation rentals don't have it, right? Or they can't offer it, or it's on a minimal scale. So really, one, we're able to enhance the brand and the experience for vacation rental partners, and really being able to provide this service to their guests. But also for the guests, I mean, once they've tried us, they've fallen in love. And even to a point where some of them, we have a private membership too, where the clients will then onboard with us and we'll take care of them wherever they travel to. So for us, it's more so giving people back their time, ultimately what their heart desires while they're traveling, whether it's for business or pleasure or play or what have you, a bachelorette to wedding or anything of that sort. But again, I mean, we're just here to make anything possible for these people. So it does invoke more of uh, a sense of peace feeling for them, I think, more than anything.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it takes the responsibility off of the guests to do that. Because I mean,
Right.
most of us are not planners at scale, or typically do things like this, and there's a lot of moving parts to it, especially with these larger groups. So, and really with vacation rentals in general, I think that's part of why our booking process is longer and requires a lot more questions, because if you're going on vacation with two or three other families, and this is a big investment for everybody, you don't want to be the one that messes that up and chooses the wrong accommodations, or that you didn't ask the right questions and then it's your fault that everything went wrong. I mean, that's like the one thing we all fear the most, if you stay in a rental with other people. But
Yeah.
it makes sense. It's just what you guys are doing is an extension of still kind of that same mentality. But
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's really kind of the benefit and pleasure of having the service is that normally there's always someone right within the group who is the main planner or coordinator, whether it's for a weekend experience or a girls' weekend or bachelorette, bachelor, whatnot, executive trip. And we're really here to be that liaison for them so they can also sit back and relax and enjoy their time with their friends or family or loved ones. And
Mhm.
it changes things when you're in your travel, and especially as we've all been adjusting to this new world we're living in, and the accessibility to last minute restaurant reservations. I mean, we were just taking care of a client the other day, and here at Super Bowl weekend, and most restaurants have buyouts and completely, at capacity. And because of our service, we're actually able to get them in the back door and get the guests exactly what they want. So there's a lot of uh, keys to the city that a concierge truly has that we can go in and provide that for them versus them going to open table and booking it themselves, or
Mhm.
fully the restaurant where they're going to probably not get a reservation till 10 o'clock at night, or be told no completely. So,
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah. What service is used the most of the many that you have?
ooh, I mean, depends on the time of year. I would say the most the guests are wanting to experience in the home would be either like our in-home massage service or private chefs. Really, again, it gives that element of a relaxation and a relaxing vacation to them. Um,
Mhm.
well, I would say, you know, the pre-arrival grocery and even decor, that's a
Yeah.
huge game changer because again, when you're coming in and you already are carrying all your stuff, right? And
Yeah.
you're probably stressed. What if your flight's delayed and all of these things? Like, last thing you want to think about is now having to go to the grocery store and spending
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
potentially hours there, right? To get enough for it could be up to 8, 10, 15 people, depending on the size of the home, right? And what it can
Yeah.
accommodate. And so one of our services we have, it's like our fill the fridge essentially, where our butlers will go in and pre-stock the home with all their favorite drinks, snacks, whatever that might be to them. Um, So it's all sitting there ready upon their arrival, which the guests obviously love. And then, we've taken it even further where we do like charcuterie and champagne, or if they want wine or margaritas or whatever like that, waiting for them when they step foot into the door. So it's really that enhanced level of service, again, that you would normally experience at a hotel, whether it's a welcome amenity or something like that. We help provide and execute that for the guests too.
Mhm.
I use that's not your service. I didn't know about it, but my husband and I went to Keystone, Colorado a few years back. I'm not sure if I told you about this when we talked, and I kind of hemmed and hawed about doing it. I was like, yeah, there's a grocery, it's close by, like we can go to it, whatever. And then very last minute, I just said, you know what, I don't want to have to worry about anything. And thank God we did, because we got stuck there. That's when lockdown happened. And had we not had groceries, we wouldn't have been able to get any food, So we ended up leaving early. So, the food we kind of left for the housekeeping staff, but thank God we had gotten that service. And I think, there are times when you're in these ski resorts, or sometimes you're just in an area where something happens and you can't get to where you need to go to get the food or get the groceries. And so sometimes it's just having that comfort that your home is set up for you to be able to live in and survive. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's an extreme case, but in my situation, it worked out. And it made it in my mind that if we go anywhere like that again, we're always going to do the groceries, just even to have the basic minimums.
Yes.
So that if
Mhm.
something, again, power goes out and you can't get anywhere, or there's a flood, or there's an avalanche, or a snowstorm, and obviously I'm not going to drive up from Florida. I'm not going to drive in a snowstorm, but it's good to have that level of comfort to, for your vacation to be whole.
Yeah. Well, and to kind of piggyback on that, so in Hilton Head, for example, we have a great partner that we work with out there, but the guests during the summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day, they only require week-long rentals. So everyone is checking in and out on a Saturday, um, which is great, obviously, for the businesses and all of that, but it makes it chaos for the guests that are coming in because everyone's going grocery shopping at the same time, right?
Right.
Have over 40,000 vacation rentals on an island, and it's wild. And so that's really where our butlers, we can go in and we'll pre-shop and pre-stock and all that kind of stuff. So as soon as the house is vacant or the condo or what have you, we go in and we make sure everything's ready for the guests. And again, it's giving them that measure of time. But I think even more so when you're traveling to a new destination, you might not know what are the best markets in the area,
Right.
and being able to really, again, give them ultimately what they want and desire. And they don't have to worry about the hassle of it. It's their vacation. They're there to relax and enjoy and play, in my opinion. So
Yeah. Now, how do you coordinate the logistics of this? And especially in Hilton Head, like you said, I mean, that's like a Saturday turn day kind of market. So when the guests check out at 10, the maid service is in there. When do you go? And are you getting access from the property management company, or is the guest giving you a code when they get it? How does that work?
So all of our partners that we work with, we actually we inform them of any of the services that we have booked for their home. If it's a pre-arrival amenity, and this
Okay.
with the fridge stocking, it's a little bit more of a one-off, right? So we do inform them. We have access into the reservation system, so we can see when houses are vacant and clean and all that kind of thing. So it makes it very easy from a logistics standpoint. Um, but really, we're coordinating with our butlers and making sure that the guests have ultimately what they need. And from having a hotel background, running operations and running one of the highest end resorts in Scottsdale to now being a national company, I mean, this is the ease of the operation. So for us, it's more of the last minute requests, I think, where we have an NFL player flying in town and needs a villa in Scottsdale within a 3-hour notice, and making that type of thing happen, which we execute every time. So, for us, no task is too small or grandiose, essentially. It's really between our team's background, again, within hospitality and having over 200 plus years combined together. We're all passionate about what we do. We love the service side of it, but, we're here to take care of them and ultimately fulfill every desire and wish that they have. So,
Yeah. We'll be back in just a minute after word from our premier brand sponsor, Costco.
Well, we're a family-owned company, family run, only family works in it. And, we're kind of a boutique, as people have said. I'm not sure what boutique means, but that's what we are. When I started this business, helping one lady out who did all of the work herself and just wanted me to look after her property and make sure that the housekeeper got it clean, I thought I was the only person doing this because it was vacation rental by owner, and I wasn't an owner.
That's Michael Godfrey, owner, operator of Sun Valley, Idaho Costco franchise. Michael started the business in 2012, growing organically by building relationships and trust within his high-end resort community.
I'm a ski instructor. My son's a ski instructor. My daughter's a ski instructor. And that makes you an ambassador right off the bat of Sun Valley. We get tourists in, we get people in that look at our lives and just say, oh, if I could ever live a life like this. And we appreciate that. And we know how blessed we are to live this life. And then to have something like this business, which gets its number one goal is to bring people here and show them how we live and let them experience it also.
We asked Michael if he had ever imagined that he would be part of a vacation rental franchise.
I had no idea there was even such a thing. I went down there and met with, Costco at their office, and, it was pretty impressive. And I started to realize how we could really piggyback on there and bring in their the resources that they have into our company, and not even costing us any more money because we're already paying percentages out to our various purveyors of the different channel masters and revenue managers and property management software and stuff. And so it's really not a cost. In many ways, I believe it's going to simplify what we do by putting everything more in one basket and having it so spread out. So Costco offers such a large suite of services that I look at as employees, as having depth. So by going with Costco, I become a much bigger company with no no additional expenses. No overhead. I mean, I don't consider that overhead, and yet I've got the backing of a large, successful business. By going with them, I just think we can, grow bigger without adding employees, and having, the depth and knowledge of these guys that really do it well. I've mentioned before, I said, you never know you got in on the ground floor or something until you're on the 10th floor and you're looking back. So I think it's just, I've met the people there. They're personable. They run their business like we do. It's all about relationship. And, they know stuff. I know stuff. We work together, but they're, they've got the resources to help out when I've got questions.
To hear more stories from franchisees like Michael and learn about Costco's vacation rental franchise model, visit costco.com/franchise. I have to ask on that, so I imagine you're dealing with NFL, like when big events come in, you're dealing with some people that aren't used to being told no. So you have to really make sure that you've got a lot. Have you ever been stuck in a situation where I was just thinking the number of times that I've been in a sellout situation, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with someone and you're really just grasping at straws, and you kind of joke okay, should we give them the broom closet? Should I bring them home with me? Have you had situations like that where you just didn't know what you were going to do and it was literally down to the wire and against the camera?
It's so crazy. So we have been so blessed that we have actually been able to fulfill every request the guests have given us. Again, as long as it's legal, we can do it because requested one.
Right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, not for real.
Yeah.
But really, we had a specific client who is a famous singer and was about to go on a world tour. And I think Annie had shared this with you before, but that, basically she stepped foot into her vacation rental home, and she's very much a minimalist and likes things a specific way, design, all that. And here she's launching her world tour, and the home was the complete opposite. It was heavy browns and reds, and she likes things clean and whites and all of that. And we transformed an entire estate for her in 24 hours to finding her kids a Olympic swim coach to teach her kids how to swim, because here they're little babies, right? And we can't just have anyone teaching her kids how to swim. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
And again, all of this within 24 hours and being able to make it happen. So I think that's kind of the beauty of all of us having the background, not only in hospitality, but in hotels where it's like you're just used to like putting out fires all day long kind of thing.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
no task or challenge is really too difficult to say. Again, as long as it's legal, we can make it happen. But, I think that's what's kind of been the joy in all of this, what we do. It's the challenge that makes our team excited. And, we took care of a sports team who, for NBA All-Stars, they wanted to go to a specific restaurant and they could not get in to save their life. And another team had bought out this restaurant, and we were able to coordinate with the PR person for their team and their person for the other team to coordinate to allow XYZ players and coaches and whatever to come in and dine with them.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's really, in my opinion, there's always a way.
Yeah.
Our slogan, our main tagline is that we believe anything is possible. So it's what makes us thrive. But I would say more than anything, that's why the guests continue to come back. And then even why they'll utilize us in other destinations they travel to, because they know we will move mountains to make sure they have an incredible stay.
Yeah.
That's really the game changer in the service aspect in my mind.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you get a lot of repeat guests that want to use the service when they go back to that destination, or if they go to another destination?
Yeah. I mean, I can think of this one gentleman. He's so kind. They come every year to come play golf. It's a group of executives, and we have a service where we literally will have one of our butlers transport their golf clubs from course to course that they go and play it every day. Because again, they want to take their specific cars, and there's 20 of them and they can't do all that themselves. So we go in and we do it. And it's become this like ongoing joke now where we've taken care of him, I think, for 5 years since the company started. And he's just like, please don't go anywhere.
That's not
Love
right.
you
Well,
so much. But yeah, that's really the repeat customer. I mean, that's everything, right? And they fall in love with the service, and that's what we're doing. That's how we know we've done a good job. So
especially within this industry too, I think it probably a pretty good likelihood that they would want to go back through you for, the private dining or something that they've done that's also specific to the home, if that's a special thing to them also. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and even wanting like the same chef experience. I mean, we've had some clients where they'll come into whichever destination, say Scottsdale, and they fall in love with the service so much that then we've actually have flown our chefs up to Seattle and Portland and some other
Oh,
destinations
wow.
with that specific chef because they were so overwhelmed by the service and experience they had had.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And even like one of our massage therapists, her name is Jill, and we like to always say that you've been Jilled, where it's basically you turn into a pile of butter after.
Right.
But she was incredible. But same thing. I mean, that's at the end of the day, people want what they want, and we are here to provide that for them.
Yeah.
But I think, not only is it a measure of our concierge team doing this for the guests, but it's truly even a measure of who we work with, who our vendors are. And really, they're an extension of our brand and our identity. And, we only want to work with the best of the best, and because they're really providing that service through the follow through, right? And so it's just the best way to build relationships all the way around.
That, do you have access? Do you know where the guest booked? Like, do you see if it's an Airbnb guest or if it's a repeat guest for the property manager or anything like that?
No. So we actually have a web app, which is how the guests connect with us. Once they book the home with the property manager then pushes our information on our behalf. And then we start the engagement of services for the guests. So
Okay, so you're not seeing this. I was asking out of curiosity, just wondering if to be able to measure, like, is it most of their direct business that's interested in these types of services? I would think it'd be more of direct business than OTA guests that would be using these services, but I could be wrong. It'd be interesting to know.
it's kind of a blend. So good portion is direct business, definitely. And especially as they're all trying to branch out, build that for themselves,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
again on the service, and
Yeah.
we give them real estate on the websites, or we provide that for their websites for our service and everything too. But
Mhm.
I would say, it's actually been a huge draw factor in why people will book a vacation rental over another is because they know they have this service complimentary through their stay. Where we're doing all the planning, arranging, coordinating for them. And again, they don't have to lift a finger. So
Mm-hmm.
it's it's been too fascinating for us, but definitely I think from the repeat side, it's direct business and they'll go and they'll book again with that property manager because they know that we're their partner and they'll want us to service them again.
Yeah,
So do you
absolutely.
guys so you're in how many markets did you say you're in right now?
Right now we're technically in 10 markets.
Okay.
But again, we can be anywhere essentially. And
Yeah.
certain markets we've turned on that, we'll turn on for 2 weeks for guests or for a client traveling to a certain city and then
Sure.
move on from there. So yeah.
By turn on, if you don't know anybody in that market, like how are you finding the partners to work with? Like what is that? I mean, part of your skill is obviously relationships, right? And finding these partners and getting to engage with them and bring them into this. So what does that process look like when you're getting started at a market?
Yeah. So for a new destination, for example, if it's something that's a quick one-time need for a client, we will
Mhm.
actually fly in different vendors from other markets. That
Oh,
way,
really? Wow.
yeah, that way they know they have the execution of the service and everything that they
Wow.
want, which is great. Now, if it's a market that we're turning on with a vacation rental partner per se, we normally take about 30 to 60 days to turn on a new destination. And then that way we have time to build out our network and vendors and all of that. Um, Big cities are always easy because again, from my background and my team's background, I mean, we have so many relationships all over the country, especially in the hotel space and everything like that. But, it kind of, we've been able to cherry pick which places we've wanted to go to.
Sure.
Mhm.
That makes sense for us and as well as our vacation rental partners. So, but again, I mean, we're here ultimately to serve. So certain cities that we've gone into will just help with local recommendations, whether it's restaurant reservations or golf tee times or, hiking and that kind of thing. It might not be a true in-home experience where you're doing private chef or masseuse or whatnot. But again, it's taking care of the guest needs and what they need ultimately.
I was curious,
Absolutely.
my initial thought was, are you partnering with anybody broadly from a vacation rental standpoint, like a larger company that might be in multiple markets? And one of the things that the industry kind of suffers from is a definition of what the industry is. So it's like everybody's trying to stand out and build their brand. And the way they do that is by providing services and,
Mhm.
providing something that can be consistent. And especially if there are multiple markets, providing that level of consistency. So do you see yourself as something that you would partner with? Again, like Alex is currently with Costco, they're a franchise brand, kind of growing around the world. Like, is it something that you would go into that realm, or do you like to be more with like the boutique-y, smaller home rental services?
Yeah. I mean, we're more so positioned right now for the boutique style. Um, I have a heart for more of a smaller mom and pop style vacation rental partners. Love obviously the big companies and what they're doing and trailblazing and stuff like that too. But most of them have the infrastructure where they can provide these services themselves, right? And
Yeah.
so we're really the perfect fit for those that they either can't find staff to be a concierge, to provide this type of service for the guests. They don't want to spend years building up a network and vendors and all that things. It takes
Sure.
a ton of time. Um, but most importantly, I mean, we do offer a rev share option. So we're really the way that we're situated is that our partners not only are the guests receiving the service, but they're also now making money off of our service. And that's
Right.
where we've become a win-win in our relationship with our partners. For me, I'm here to really give back and to help people. And I think, depending on what that partner needs and what that looks like for them, I would say the boutique style is definitely, it seemed to be a great fit for us.
Mhm.
But again, still open,
Yeah.
what that looks like.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was just curious. Yeah. I was just curious if that was like anything you've modeled out. I mean, it speaks to a lot of our audience on this podcast is people that are smaller operators. And we've actually surprisingly found there's a lot of people that are newer in the industry and maybe have one or two, units or a couple of homes somewhere. And they'll reach out to us and ask us questions like, how should I try to fill up my unit when there's nothing going on? Like, what can I be doing? And it's services like yours that we can recommend, or like we do recommend in various areas. Like, really make sure that you're engaging with your local restaurants and attractions and your DMOs and those type of things. And so what you're doing, I think, is something that is going to be able to take these smaller businesses and like level up the service that they want to provide, but like you said, they just don't have the bandwidth or the know-how to do it.
And I would imagine there could potentially be an opportunity. I don't know if you get these requests, but if people love the service that you've given them in a certain destination, do they ever ask you about, do you know vacation rentals in other destinations? I mean, high-end properties, that's, I feel like you could be able to refer actual business to property managers too.
Yeah, we've done that quite a bit. Again, that NFL player needed a home. They hear he's mid-flight flying to Arizona, and the person that he had booked with canceled on him while he's in the air, and he's coming in
Oh,
town.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so we actually reached out to one of our partners, and not only did they have the perfect home available for them, which was a blessing for us,
Yeah.
but within their budget, everything had it all stocked, ready to go. I mean, bells and whistles ready within, I think it was 3.5 hours. We like to say 3 hours is like our time zone.
right.
Yeah.
Many task requests we get.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a blessing. I mean, that partner made, I think, like 25 grand off one booking. And here we referred that to them. So
That's
it-
awesome.
yeah. And we're never going to be in the business of managing.
Being an OTA or
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're really the back end for the service. And again, my heart is to make it a win-win relationship where
Yeah.
we are referring even business to our partners. Because again, that trusted relationship with the guest, at the end of the day, they want to know that the house they're booking is exactly what they're booking. And I think
Mhm.
that's sometimes some trouble with vacation rentals. At least in the past. I know it's getting much better now with all the new policies and all that coming into play. But I mean, I think back in infancy of Airbnb, when you go book a house and the pictures look phenomenal, then you walk in and it's completely opposite.
Right.
And things
Yeah.
in or whatever
Yeah.
happening. And so, whereas the guests that come to us, and if they ask for that, we're able to recommend, hey, XYZ villas or homes, or this partner is great. We know that they will take care of you at the level we will. And so again, it enhances that relationship and, puts money back in our partners' pockets too, which they love. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always
absolutely.
ask the weird questions on the show. That's kind of my wheelhouse here. What is the oddest request that you've ever had?
Pause real quick.
Legal.
Quick. As you asked that last question, Annie, a little bit ago about like, have you ever had a strange request for this? It's so funny. Like I feel like you always want to find somebody that's going to say something so off the wall because you've asked this in other.
Well, I'm in a beach market, and I've been read through writers with
I can't wait till somebody
bands.
has a crazy story for you.
I've experienced some really nutty stuff myself, so I know that
Yeah.
there's stuff out there, and a lot of times you can't talk about it. But I mean, let's face it, there's some cool stories out there. I'm sure you've got some great ones.
I love it.
I mean, there's many here I wish I could disclose to you. Reality, I can't.
See,
yeah,
Alex,
Yeah, I know,
Kristin
it's like-
together off.
Yeah.
Talk about this.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I think, oh goodness, I don't know. I mean, most of the guests, it's pretty even keel as far as requests. Like we had to do, let's see, like one time we had a client that wanted, instead of like a keg of beer for their event or whatever, they wanted a keg of root beer because it's for a kid's party. So I think that was just like a little difficult to find.
Random, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
keg of root beer, but we were able to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think as far as like off request, I'm trying to think of like what's strange. I mean, to concierge, it's like every
It's probably nothing is strange, right?
Right. Yeah, nothing.
I think that one of the most rewarding was this one client we had taken care of. It was their son's birthday, and here, they've already have done a lot of the extravagant experiences for his birthday every year, and they wanted to go whale watching off the Nantucket Island. And
Oh yeah.
and we were able to find this specific naturalist who not only took them on their boat to this area where was infiltrated with humpback whales, but there was, I think, over 50, there were 50 dolphins, 100 humpbacks.
Oh my gosh,
It
that's
was like
so
a
cool.
feeding
Love
zone.
that.
Oh my gosh, yes. And what was so rewarding was the guest response afterwards, and even the little kid. They were like, "We don't know how we're gonna top his birthday ever again." Like, that was cool, right? And so for us, I mean, it's more so again, like being faced with some challenges and like, well, how do you know where exactly to go off Nantucket Island that's gonna bring you to the feeding ground where all these humpbacks are, and this naturalist
Yeah.
will and took care of it for us. So, you know, we're more so we get challenging requests, I would say, rather than odd. But again, that's what we're here for. We love to make it happen for them. So
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, it's incredible to see what you've built in a very short amount of time. And I think guest experience is something that we all talk about as an industry and how important it is. It's important whether you're in hotels or any type of accommodation, but within vacation rentals, I think there's a level of expectation and standards that has to be a little bit higher. And I think you're doing an incredible job with that. So we're excited to see you continue to grow into more cities and hopefully just spread your wings further. So we wish you nothing but the best of luck this year.
thank you. And it was such an honor to spend time with you ladies today. And, any of your listeners or anyone that needs our help, we'd love to help take care of you and your guests. But also, everyone listen to Alex and Annie. They're incredible.
Oh, no. Thank
You're
you.
sweet.
It's our guests are the secret to it. That's the best
Yeah.
part about it. It really is true. If anybody wants to contact you, Kristin, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yep. So if you wanted to go to our website, concishare.com, there's our web form you can fill out for more information there if you want to
Okay.
onboard a potential partner with us, and we can get started.
Great. Sounds good. Wonderful. If anybody wants to contact Annie and I, you can go to alexandanniepodcast.com. And until next time, thank you for tuning in, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.